Hello everybody, back to my channel Super Sam 7. Today I'm doing another comic book overview review of a comic collection. There. It's The Amazing Spider-Man Brand New Day Complete Collection Volume 1. And this has a part of this that is really important to my comic collecting history because it contains the 5 issues of the very first comic collection I ever got. And that was The Amazing Spider-Man Brand New Day Volume 3. Wait, what is Volume 1? That's Volume 3. No, this is Volume 3 that is super skinny, has 5 issues in it. I lost the cover for it. This is what it is in black, the hardcover. You know what? We'll get to that at the end of the video if you want to go. So here's what it looks like on the side. Brand New Day, Complete Collection, Volume 1. And beginning a completely collection of one of the most celebrated eras in Spider-Man history. And it collects Amazing Spider-Man, Free Comic Book Day, 2007, Amazing Spider-Man, issues 546 to 564, and Spider-Man Swing Shift Director's Cut. And it has all the workers on it. This was $40, which is actually a pretty good price, I'd say. There's Spider-Man Wolverine, although that only happens in one issue in this whole thing, but they make it the back cover, okay? This was one of the covers for, I think, the Free Comic Book Day, 2007. And this happens right after the One More Day story, the end of J. Michael Straczynski's run on the character. And in issue 546, it's kind of a big reboot of the Spider-Man character. Everyone forgets his identity after Civil War. And there's new characters, a bunch of new villains who are now forgotten. I made Forgotten Spider-Man Rogues videos on a lot of them. And, yeah, let's just open it up and look. So it promotes Big Time Epic Collection, or not Epic Collection, Complete Collection Volume 1. So here is the works, 549 to 551. These are the two from that hardcover I already had. You can look at that. And then this is sort of the new status quo. What the One More Day changed. Harry Osborn and Peter are friends. Gwen Stacy died. Mary Jane moved away. Spider-Man's identity has web shooters. And is living at Aunt May's house because he's broke. And Free Comic Book Day, right here, they have the title down. And this is where Spider-Man meets a brand new supervillain, Overdrive. He has the ability to completely take over any vehicle he touches. And in this story, Overdrive is working for Mr. Negative to steal an artifact for him. And Overdrive fails because Spider-Man comes in and fights Overdrive. But sort of the neat thing with Overdrive for uniqueness is he's Spider-Man's biggest fan, he says. He loves Spider-Man, so he fights him. And we also get introduction of the Bar with No Name in modern day, where a whole bunch of villains just hang out. Look at that. There's Boomerang, Hydro Man, the Answer, Speed Demon, Ox, the Cobra. You get it. And they're all just sitting back in. Oh, there's the Spot. And betting on outcomes of superhero fights from this guy called the Bookie. A new superhero called Jackpot is introduced. She's registered. And Spider-Man is kind of still seen as a vigilante because he hasn't registered. He didn't register in Civil War, so he always kind of, in the first parts of this book, he kind of goes back and forth whether he should turn in this, dress up as Spider-Man and save people. And yeah, boom, this defeats Overdrive with that giant splash panel, and yeah, it's a very short story, but really good. Probably the best Free Comic Book Day thing ever, in my opinion, that I've actually got, like, in real life, not in a collection. And then here's issue 546 with this iconic comic cover. And I did not say, but yes, there's going to be an omnibus coming out later this year of Brand New Day. I think it just collects the first 2 complete collections put together, which I already have. I have the second one. I'll make a video on that one someday. So here it is. There's a spider mugger going around. He's wearing a Spider-Man mask and he has a gun. Peter Parker owes Harry Osborn money. They go to a club. He runs into the spider burglar, and the guy steals his web shooters from him, thinking they're rich bracelets, and he gets away because Peter gets stopped in the feast shelter. He goes back and Jameson sort of flips out on him because the Bugle's about to be taken over by a new guy, completely bought out, I should say. and he flips out, yells at Peter Parker, and gives himself a heart attack. Yeah. Oh, great picture. He then turns into Spider-Man officially in issue 547. I don't think he was ever Spider-Man in issue 546. So yeah, that's it. And Mr. Negative has kidnapped or made a deal with one of the members of a crime family, the big crime family in New York right now, to take a bunch of blood from him, because he creates this virus called Devil's Breath, and he's going to use it to kill all of the bad guys, all the gangs, people, like right here. He's loading it up in the city to be the #1 crime lord now. The Red Death only affects people whose blood is related. So the guy he took the blood from, he's related to all of these mob people, mob bosses, and poisons them all and they all die. But the people who don't are related because the blood wasn't in the Red Death mixture, they don't die. They just get a little bit woozy, I guess. Also like this, so the guy has his web, this is kind of a funny moment. The guy shoots his webs at this random guy, and the guy just pulls him and punches him, because, yeah, he doesn't have super strength, obviously, he just has web shooters, thinking he was all cool. Okay, so then Mr. Negative decides to kill the rest of the mob people, the women and children. They're all at a, kind of like a circus. Spider-Man stops the Red Death there, and he saves the little girl's life because he gives Mr. Negative one of, his blood for a Red Devil mixture he might use someday. I forget if he ever does. So yeah, that's it. And then we see Mr. Negative's real identity is Martin Lee, Aunt May's boss at the Feast Shelter. I forgot how much I actually liked Mr. Negative. I didn't really like him in Spider-Man PS4. I think he was written way differently. We didn't really get to see a lot of his, moments all by himself. I don't think we ever got to see a moment like that in the game. Anyway. Jackpot. This is a guy called Freak, a new villain. Okay, these are all just kind of short stories. And then there's suddenly a brand new character, oh gosh, flying around on a glider, uh-oh. And there's a guy called Dexter Bennett, DB, and he has taken over the Daily Bugle, bought it all out. It was sold to him by Marla Jameson officially when JJJ was in the hospital because she knew that the Bugle was giving him a lot of stress, stuff that led to his heart attack. And so now he's back. Or now this boss is here, and he really wants a bunch of not Spider-Man-like stories, just future news stories, which happens in the last third of this, so to say. So Spider-Man and Jackpot team up. He thinks that Jackpot is Mary Jane, probably just like a bunch of people, but she is not. Or so she says. I'm not going to spoil it all here. So there's a new guy, or a very old character that returns called the Blue Shield. And he's trying to stop Spider-Man because he's unregistered. But of course, he's only in like 4 pages and he gets, he beats him up. And then the Menace just randomly decides to fly by at that time. Spider-Man tackles her. Or him. Uh-oh, spoiled it. I'll just say her. We already know. I already made a Forgotten Rogue video on Menace and Overdrive. It's not a mask. She lets him go without killing him. And it turns out that the Menace... Oh yeah, and there's this jerk who's trying to sue Spider-Man. It's very more realistic, and he tries to kill a new councilwoman. He kidnaps her here, and Jackpot, unfortunately, leads to her getting killed, impaled by the glider, and Menace still escapes. I like this moment, Spider-Man. Whoomp, what? I said... And then he whumps her. Okay. So this is all part 1, basically, the first third. A little bit more than a third. And here's issue 552 with Freak, another forgotten Spider-Man I've talked about. He gets attacked by Spider-Man because he stole from the Feast Shelter. He gets webbed up, but he escapes. Oh yeah, and there's these 2 cops here. One really likes Spider-Man because he's been on the force a long time, and one really doesn't like Spider-Man, whose name is Vin, and Peter Parker and him move in together to live in the city. When the Daily Bugle becomes the DB, Peter Parker gets paid a lot more, almost like truckload more than Jameson's paying him. So Freak's running away from where his clothes were webbed up, and he crashes into Dr. Connor's lab, and he thinks these things are like heroin drugs, and he sticks in there, but they're actual a bunch of animal stem cells, and he sticks them into himself, and yeah, that night he becomes a monster called Freak, and we see these villains just betting on what is in that cocoon. Kind of funny. That is what he looks like in his first form. He almost reminds me a little bit of Doomsday, actually, rereading this, because he gets shot in the head and he basically dies and falls, goes cocoon again. He comes back as this, where when he's like this, you can see a whole lot more of the animal stuff on him. He has claws and scales and whatnot. The big thing about him, he still has the blue eye and the brown eye. It's kind of funny scenes where people are trying to keep the Daily Bugle away from J. Jonah Jameson, so he doesn't, know that it's sold yet. Freak is getting out, killing people, because he's insane, pure evil now. And look at this cover, I love it. It almost reminds me of the Vulture with his face from Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. That one moment in the burning building. So yeah, here's Freak literally getting high. Oh yeah, he attacks at this one place, and Spider-Man saves this politician's life, and he still hates Spider-Man. Great, so Spider-Man and Freak fight in a fire. He is apparently burned to death, but nope, he just goes in the cocoon form, and J. Jonah Jameson is like, or sorry, Kirk Connors is like, okay, you have to find the cocoon, him again. And there's more. Spider-Man reveals that the Daily Bugle was sold. It's just called the DB now, and Jameson has another heart attack. Oh gosh, why? And we have these 3 issues right here, issues 555 to 557, with a forgotten Spider-Man villain who I've never talked about, actually, so I plan on making a video about that. He basically did this ritual and summons a bunch of winter to take over New York City, and all these crazy religious monsters. I guess not religious, but belief monsters, Mayan monsters. I was surprised. In the real world, I read this. I woke up a few nights ago with a giant headache. I took a headache pill, and I just read this story, or a lot of this book. That's why I'm making this so fast after my last video. And read it. There you go. I liked it enough. Issue 558. So this was the end of Volume 2 of the original Amazing Spider-Man Brand New Day. Like, this book. And he has a nightmare about Freak unmasking him. Peter Parker decides, I'm going to move to the city. Oh no, I may well be sad about that. And she's all happy. I actually think the comedy stuff in this is actually really good. I remember a lot of the jokes from Volume 3. Years later, as an adult, I memorized them. Marla Jameson leaves him for a little bit. And the Menace returns, attacking a politician, I think Bill Hollister, Lily Hollister's father, who Lily Hollister is now Harry Osborn's new girlfriend. Menace and him fight for 2 pages, and the snipers arrive and they leave. And then Spider-Man goes to where he was originally destined to be, this junkyard, looking for the cocoon that housed Freak, but he broke free and he now looks like that. Kind of reminds me of Armadillo, the Spider-Man villain. Also, side note, Armadillo is going to be in the Spider-Man Spider-Verse 2 movie, the animated movie. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, that's what it's called? I don't know. So he's fighting him, and Dr. Connor was like, okay, if he comes back, you're going to have to kill him. And Spider-Man's like, great, I can't even strangle this guy to death, even if I wanted to. He has no neck. He tries to drop a bunch of stuff on him. It fails. And Dr. Connors is like, Actually, Dr. Connors saves the day in this issue, to say it out loud now. Or no, I guess Spider-Man does. Never mind, I forgot. Spider-Man says this, not Connors. But he's like, take the drugs to my other hideout. Connors is like, drugs? What? And Freak goes to the car, rips up the cure basically, and knocks him out. Turns him into another cocoon, and he's transported into safety, or well, actually to Osborn Industries. But I don't think this is the last appearance of him. And this is where it started. Amazing Spider-Man Brand New Day, Volume 3, as you can see. right there. Read this. They have, so here's every start of the volume. They have sort of like a newspaper about the previous events. This one does not, for some reason, except for the first two. I'm pretty sure, no, I'm pretty sure volume 2, the start of volume 2 has it, but not volume 3, so there's a little bonus for you guys. So this is the first appearance of Screwball. I'm sure a lot of people remember and despise her from the video game Spiderman PS4. She's just doing crimes for YouTube, I guess. Or they kind of spell YouTube wrong. You have a hyphen in between the U and the tube. So Spider-Man tracks down with a spider tracer, but she freaks out, says Spider-Man's a spider tracer killer, he's marked her for death. He leaves. I actually find the humor in this really good. I really like it. And the story is very unique because Spider-Man, working for the DB still, now has a brand new job to be a paparazzi and goes after this famous movie star called Bobby Carr, who was mentioned earlier in this volume. And he does it. He takes pictures of him freaking out on this one girl. And he gets away with the SD card from his phone. And we see that there's a new character here who basically can just walk on, not on walls, but in walls. Because she's literally paper thin. Her name is Paper Doll. And she's obsessed with Bobby Carr. So the waitress he flipped out on is now suing Bobby Carr because people are just scumbags. And she decides to kill her because she's attacking Bobby Carr for no good reason. She's insane. I can't even be on her side and see the villain's point here, but hating people who love suing. Okay. At least that's for me. So Spider-Man escapes, again taking pictures of Bobby Carr. He tries to pay back Harry Osborn the debt he's owed. But, oh yeah, and we have a funny scene where Marla Jameson is like, she went 20 blocks for you not to ever get coffee again or caffeinated drinks. He's like, oh crud. So Harry Osborn learns that Peter Parker's paparazzi and again kind of cuts off ties with him. During the crime scene, we learned that it's the girl who's suing Bobby Carr. Joe Robertson, who is against this paparazzi stuff, is like, we made her famous and now she's dead. Maybe if we, the other person we did this to, this one guy who insulted Bobby Carr and he smashed his camera in his face, he might be next. So Spider-Man tails the guy for a few days to try and help this, protect him from danger. And finally it pays off in an art gallery, fights Paper Doll. I really like this line. Daredevil gets in the way of Bullseye, the FF in the Dr. Doom's way, and now I get you? So they fight there at art museum. She camouflages herself with the art. Very cool. Spider-Man can't really hurt her because she's literally paper thin. Look at that. They're saved because the guy just says, I'm done. I'm not going to attack Bobby Carver again. I'm gonna drop all charges. So she leaves. And the guy basically says, Spider-Man and her were both very threatening to me. Oh, great. So that's it. And then we learned that Bobby Carr's personal assistant was selling him out for publicity for Dexter Bennett for photos in a DB, and Paper Doll murders him for it. And then we learned that Bobby Carr's secret girlfriend is actually Mary Jane Watson. That was sort of the mystery of these two issues. And I also love this. To be continued in 2 weeks, 14 days, 336 hours, 20,160 minutes. Just Speed Air, True Believer, MJ's back in just 1,269,600 spider seconds. Or 209,000, sorry. And we kind of get Paper Doll's origin here. Where she walked into, like, her father's dimensional experiment. What is it exactly? A human subject got into my dimensional compressor. Okay? And that's why she's all like that. After reading the paper, she hunts down Bobby Carr personally. Joe Robertson quits the DB because of the paparazzi stuff he doesn't agree with. Mary Jane has been keeping all this a secret, that she's dating Bobby Carr. Paper Doll comes in to their mansion and fights and tries to kill Mary Jane. She gets into a panic room. Bobby Carr fights against Paper Doll, gets hit. Spider-Man comes in, making jokes, and they fight throughout the house. It's not really that entertaining, but it is a lot of really great dialogue, like the sort of mystery of who Bobby Carr's mystery girlfriend is, and she says that they met in another life, and is helping him dodge people's attacks, until he gets his arm completely hit, grabbed, flattened by Paper Doll. Now he realizes that he needs air, basically. That was the big reason everyone died from suffocation, and so he grabs her, forces them back into a pool. She basically goes 3D, like normal, and Bobby Carr knocks her out, sort of tricking her. And it's just a really great moment where Bobby Carr kind of confesses, yeah, online I'm a jerk and whatnot, but I really just like being here. That's why I didn't call the cops or anything, because it's my own personal life, and it's where I get to be the real me. I don't know, I really liked that. It was a really surprising, mature moment. And Peter Parker decides then, you know what, I'm not going to reveal Bobby Carr's secrets, snaps the picture here, not getting $2 million for the reward, and that's it. So he moves into the apartment with Vin, and Harry Osborn and him are friends now. There you go. And sort of the big thing about Jackpot, I'm pretty sure Sarah Ehert, or however you say that, is Jackpot, I forget. And she wants Mary Jane's autograph. She leaves. Anyway, I love this cover. There's so many things about the third volume I love, and I've been talking for 21.5 minutes. Wow. Scrolls? Nope. Clones? You gotta be kidding me. So how do you explain the other Spider-Man? Wow, this was the cover for Volume 3 originally, before I lost the thing. So, since Peter Parker's been fired, he goes around looking for a real job, but they're all saying no, that he's been blacklisted by Dexter Bennett, and whatnot. Here's a cool splash page of Civil War, as Betty kind of brings up, maybe Spider-Man has gotten worse because of all the craziness of Civil War. Anyway, his next two issues are all about the bookie and the bar with no name, because he's been taking bets on Spider-Man making money. And I love this art. I love these splash pages with all the villains on it. So what he does is he hires the Basher. I'm pretty sure he also hires the Basher. And he hires this new Spider-Man to knock him out in one hit. And all the villains lose their bets, basically. And he gets a bunch of money. Then the real Spider-Man shows up to fight the fake one, which is what everyone, assumes is happening correctly. He reveals that the fake Spider-Man was Screwball, and she was hired by the bookie to make him a bunch of money. Spider-Man goes to the bar with no name, and you can see how well that works out. Yeah, and here's the Enforcers. I don't think they had been in comics for so long. And one thing I still don't know, is this the Ox original one, or the one after Daredevil issue 15, where he switched minds with another, with a mad scientist, but the mad scientist with the original Ox's brain became smart, and the mad scientist in the Ox's body became dumb. So I don't know which Ox this is. Also, he has a yellow shirt on the cover, but he never has that in the book, so there's that. This is such a weird cover, but anyway, very nice. Spider-Man comes in, fights a little bit, only for like 2 pages, and Spider-Man wants information about the villain, where the bookie is, and whatnot. And the bookie's dad is a jerk. They're all jerks. The book says it's because it's New Jersey. And he goes to Coney Island, where he's being tortured by the Enforcers, or, tortured, so to say, because he's ripping them off, and they're teaching him a lesson, basically. And there's this awesome, fun fight scene where Spider-Man fighting the Enforcers. Here's his whip, here's Fancy Dan. I love this story. Are you man enough to face me without using your webs? Man enough, yes. Stupid enough, no. Sorry it's not cotton candy, but the concession was closed. On the plus side, my webs are sugar-free. Anyway, there's Ox. It's kind of funny. He gets stuck. Spider-Man stops Montana. Ox is about to fight Spider-Man one-on-one, even though, Ox is really just a normal guy. And boom, Spider-Man catches this roller coaster that went off the rails. And Ox just immediately, I love this part as well, he immediately surrenders and is like, hey, I owe you a little jail time, it's a lot of hospital time, or morgue time, so he just gives up. And it's revealed that the bookie's dad was betting on what would happen in this fight. And yeah, Ox is like, I'm not fighting you now. And so there's that. They kind of make up, or they try to just stop this whole nonsense stuff from happening. Someone swings away, and he made the bookie's dad donate like $16,000 to the feast shelter. Now this is where Volume 3 ends. This is part 1 of Brand New Day Volume 4, but it wasn't called Volume 4, it was called Kraven's First Hunt. So this is a POV where you get Spider-Man's view, Peter Parker's roommate Vin Gonzalez's view, and Overdrive's view. So Overdrive is again stealing. Spider-Man stops and he goes on a school bus, takes it over. Spider-Man saves the kids. Overdrive gets away though. We see why Vin Gonzalez kind of hates Spider-Man and whatnot. And Overdrive is doing this for Mr. Negative, but he fails and he gets away from Mr. Negative. Yay! And we get this funny front page of all this nonsense that happened and the different views on it. And I love the back because we get all these variant covers, which were also in the original printings. Wolverine, Spider-Man, concept art, Spider-Man Manifesto. There's a lot here if you really want to. Someday I will. Made Spider-Man Top Secret. This is kind of talking about the all-new Spider-Man status quo. Of course, after one more day. Hopefully if you pause this, you can read most of it in the video. If you really want to. Brand new bad guys. Menace, Freak, Mr. Negative, the Bookie. I don't know why they don't have Menace and Freak talked about on here. Screwball, Overdrive, and Paper Doll. I've also talked about Paper Doll. And I forgot to Rogue. The Parker household, the Coffee Bean. I love... Actually, what the heck? Look at that. They have Peter Parker's house right here. The landscape. This is my alternate cover for Amazing Spider-Man by J. Michael Straczynski Omnibus Volume 2. Here's, you know, the artist and whatnot. I don't know what this is, but I guess this is maybe a step-by-step by how they make the comic. And there you go. Then we have these big time complete collection Volume 2, Volume 3, Volume 4, and Spider-Man Spider Island. Alright, went through it. So first off, let me go into this and just show you guys what it looks like. Not really much different besides this. Well, not really anything different besides that one page. I remember when I was a kid, I read this Christmas morning because I was so excited, or something like that, and I was so excited to wake up in the morning, but it was 3 a.m. so I just read this and it took me like 45 minutes. It was when I was a little kid, so I really enjoyed it. There we go. That's how it ends. Not much else to say about my personal collection I didn't already say, or I guess I mean my previous Brand New Day Volume 3. So some things that stand out here. There's this new tablet. It's almost like the Tablet of Time, but it's like its sister. I think Mr. Negative says this is the Tablet of Death and Entropy, and Spider-Man destroys it, but Mr. Negative's like, you realize I took the precaution of writing it down. Dang it, that would have been such a badass scene. Anyway. Yeah. If there's anything important that else is here, Lily Hollister becomes a very important character in the future. Well, I guess she already is in here. Carly Cooper becomes Peter Parker's next new girlfriend. They're kind of introduced to each other here a little bit. And Peter Parker's roommate, Vin Gonzalez, has a crush on her. They both work for the NYPD, but she likes Peter more and whatnot. And, anyway, with the villains, I've already, like I said, they're forgotten. They're more like one-shot moments, but they are creative enough to be meaningful. Like, okay, I'm glad I read this. Oh yeah, we learned that the Spider Tracer killings, that's why Spider-Man really went after the Bookie and his dad, because it was revealed that the Spider Tracer killings, the tracers were put in the mouths of the victims after they were already dead. So that's a little bit confusing, who is doing that to frame Spidey, so to say. There's not much else to say right now in just Volume 1. It is cool they bring back a bunch, some older characters. They introduce a lot of new bad guys. That's probably the thing I like most about this, is there's a bunch of brand new characters. This is where Spider-Man meets who Jackpot. Jackpot says her secret identity is this person, but when he visits Sarah, Ehart, she says that she is not Jackpot. Spider-Man is like, oh great, I fell for it, or something like that. Oh, you see, this is the Daily Bugle, the DB newspaper page that they have here. I don't have it for Volume 3 though. Or Volume 4, I guess, because like I said, the last issue, I didn't have that. Oh well. I like the return of Curt Connors. He kind of gets depressed a little bit, and someone's like, look, we don't want you to turn into the lizard again, and whatnot. Wow. There's a lot of great moments in here. I really do like, I know a lot of people don't like Lancelot, but he is, you know, people say he's average Spider-Man, but I think at this, yeah, I guess he's, you know, average Spider-Man, but you know what, that's good enough. A lot better than the modern Spider-Man comics nowadays in 2023. So this is just a fun read. Honestly, I just wanted to go through it and talk about it. I think I did it. I talked about everything I wanted to. That's in here. So thank you for watching and have a great day. Hope you enjoyed.